Hey guys, this is Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2015 Mercedes-Benz GLK, and we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Stealth Hitches towing kit. So our vehicle here is already equipped with the Stealth Hitch. We had actually installed it about a month ago here at eTrailer, and the owners of the vehicle decided they wanted to start towing trailers with it. Well, with the original kit, it is just the receiver tube kit, so you can't tow trailers with it. So they want to add this on so they can tow those trailers. This kit is going to include 7-pole wiring, your safety chain loops, the bracketry you need to mount the wiring, and the shank for your ball. You have to tow the trailer with this shank. You cannot put a ball mount in their original, in their bike rack mount. There's a warning label all over it that says do not put a ball mount inside that and do not tow with it because it's too much vibration inside of that, inside of the original shank for them to like you to use it with that. So you have to tow a trailer with this specific kit. The kit overall is pretty comprehensive. It's not hard to install, especially with the instructions that they include with the installation. Now, in the nature of Stealth Hitches, the whole point of it is for the kit to be hidden. So our 7-pole is hidden, and you can get to it by reaching up underneath our bumper. The safety chain loops, I will say, are kind of small. They work pretty good for S-hook style safety chains. The clevis style might be a little bit more difficult to get back here. You can see here, they're just kind of, they're very small safety chain openings. So if you've got a trailer, I'd look into maybe changing out your clevis style to a larger S-hook style like these. As we mentioned earlier, with your kit, you're also going to get this ball mount. It will not come with the ball pre-assembled on it, so you will have to have a pretty big torque wrench to be able to torque this nut down on the bottom. But we're going to give you some measurements so that you know how well it's going to work with your trailer. So from the ground, as our vehicle is sitting now, to the top of the ball, is about 17.25. And then from the ground to the top of this base here is going to be about 14.25. So use it as you will to be able to determine whether or not this is going to be a good fit for your trailer. Now lastly, the ball that is included is going to be a 2-inch ball. So if you decide that you want a different ball, we've got plenty of them on our website that you can swap this one out for to be able to get the correct size to tow your trailer. As far as the installation goes, for this particular install, we had to remove everything again. We brought the car back in about a month after we did the first install. The biggest thing with this kit is that you have to take the whole car apart anyway to get it installed. So I highly recommend, if you think you might be towing at all, go ahead and install this kit when you install your Stealth Hitch in the first place. I'd say that you can do it if you're really careful without removing the fascia again. The biggest issue is that putting the bolts in and putting that block back up into place underneath and behind that fascia is going to be very difficult. It has a very high torque rating for those bolts, so fitting a torque wrench up there is going to be near impossible. Even if you have a lift, we had ours about 6 feet in the air and we still couldn't fit a torque wrench under there. So in order to install it, the best way we found is just install it like you're installing the hitch. So that's why I recommend doing it at the same time of the hitch. But if you bought the vehicle and already had one on there and it didn't have the tow package on it, that's what we're here to show you today. To begin our installation, we're going to be removing this panel in the rear hatch of our vehicle. You want to set it up and out of your way. I just toss it up into the back seat. And then we'll have a side panel on either side. You'll take this little knob, twist it to the side. We'll set those up there too. Just get them out of our way. And then we're going to have a T30 torque spit screw right here on the back side. Then we're going to pull up on this trim panel piece here. What you want to do is just pull straight up. If you need to use a trim panel tool, you can, but I found that if you just get a good grip on them, you can pop those fasteners loose. I'm going to set that up in our back seat. Now we're going to take out the driver's side panel. Got that here. Then we'll have a T40 torque spit down here in the bottom that we'll have to remove. So we'll take that out. And then I'll have to look for another one. There it is, down in here. That's loose. I'll throw my other screw in with that one. We're going to take this out. Then we'll come over to our passenger side, and we'll take this little cover out here and expose 2 more T40 screws. Looks like we've got a couple of nuts down here still holding this panel in. These are going to require a 10 millimeter. Here we go. Pop this panel out, and we'll set all that to the side. Now back along this rear bumper support, we're going to have 4 holes that look like this, and we're going to have a 10 millimeter nut on the inside of each one of them. We need to take all 4 of those out. Now what might be helpful to you to get the nuts off of the studs is to use a magnet to stick back in that hole and to pull off the nut. The studs are really long, but the threads are only at like the last 1/4 inch. So it helps to hold the nut in place, but if you slide a magnet in there, you can go in there and grab it. Now we're going to take an 8 millimeter socket and remove the 3 nuts that are holding our taillights in place. We'll have one here, and then 2 on the other side. Now we need to slide our taillights out. If you've not taken them off before, that might be a little bit more difficult to slide them out because this seal can bind up a little bit. And we'll push on this little tab and pry our wiring out. There's one on each side. Now the next step in our process, if you have the mud flaps, you're gonna have a few more steps, but you can follow along with us. If you don't have mud flaps, you're just going to have 2 push pin fasteners that you'll need to remove and then pull the wheel well liner back and get the 10 millimeter head bolt out. But if you have these, we're going to have a couple more screws as well to take out too. Now right here, we have a push pin fastener that's actually missing. You'll want to take this one out, and then there's going to be one a little bit further down. You want to use something small like a pick or a small screwdriver. You want to pry the center out. Here we go. Enough to where we can get a flathead screwdriver on it. And I like to pop those out all the way. There we go. We got the center out. Now we need to get the base out. Now we have one Phillips head screw in here that's holding our mud flap on. Then we'll have this clip that's holding our mud flap on. Take that off. And then underneath, on the inside, we're going to have 2 more Phillips head screws. Then we can pull our mud flap off. Now we're going to take our 10 millimeter socket and get this bolt removed. Now all along the bottom, we're going to have a couple of different fasteners we have to remove. We'll have some T25 Torx bits and then also 2 10 millimeter head bolts. We'll just get those removed. The best way to find that you have removed them all is the fascia will be loose. If you can't find every one of them, that's okay. Just pull on the fascia and make sure that you get them all removed. Now with an extra set of hands, we're going to start removing our bumper. We're going to pull back on this fascia here. And again, if yours has never been removed, it might be a little bit more difficult. Ours has been removed before. To put the hitch on, we'll slide this out. You want to have a trim panel tool with you when you're doing this. And then we'll push down on these white tabs. One at a time, and then it'll pop off. Looks like we've got one wiring harness right here in the middle that we have to disconnect. Push that little tab, pull backwards. Now we'll set our fascia in a safe place. Now with our fascia removed, we can see our Stealth Hitch. You can see that it does not have the tow package on it. They were just originally using it for a bike rack, so we'll need to add the tow loops to it. We'll need to take these 2 bolts out. Use a 15/16 wrench and socket in order to do this. And then we'll take our safety chain loops, slide those over. You want to make sure that the safety chain loop itself is facing back towards the vehicle, not towards the outside. We'll take our other one, do the same thing. Kind of get our pieces stacked up here. And then you want to slide it back up into place. And slide our bolts back in. Next we'll take our wiring bracket, slide it over the ends of our bolts. Then we'll take the new nuts that come in our kit and thread those on. Now if you don't have a torque wrench, typically you can go to your local auto parts store to be able to rent one to tighten these down. If not, we've got them on our website that you can definitely purchase. Now to begin on our wiring, we're going to have two grommets here. One has a wire running through it already. The other one is blank. We're going to take a trim panel tool or a screwdriver, pop that grommet out of there, and then we need to drill a 3/8 hole in there for the wire to pass through. Now we can take the end of our wire that has our 7 wires on it. We'll slide it over our grommet so that the grommet can be properly placed back into the hole. We're going to pull this grommet, or the wiring outside, put that grommet back in place. And then on the outside, you just want to make sure you've got enough to be able to reach where a 7-pole is going to go. We can actually probably pull a little bit back. But you get that, want to make sure you got your grommet in place so that it doesn't pop out. Whenever we're all said and done, we've got all our connections made, we'll fill in around that grommet with a little bit of RTV black silicone. But you want to take your control box now, which is at the other end of the wire, and we're going to begin making connections into our factory wiring. Now this portion of the install can be kind of confusing, so I'm going to use the provided chart from Stealth Hitches. I'm going to go ahead and get these connected up to the right wires that they're supposed to be connected to, and then we'll come back and show you those connections. From our harness, on the one side we're going to have a green, red, yellow, and brown wire. We're going to connect the green and brown on our passenger side. The yellow you'll want to run over to your driver's side, and the red on this particular vehicle, we're not using it because the vehicle itself is going to use the green and yellow as the stop signal. So you don't have to use the red as a separate stop signal. Now additionally, on the other harness, you'll have a purple wire and a blue wire. The purple wire is going to be your reverse light wire. The blue wire is going to be your brake signal. Now, like I said, we're not going to be using the red wire, and we're also not going to be connecting up the blue wire. The blue wire is going to be connected up to your brake controller. We don't have a brake controller, and they're not planning on buying one right now, so we'll just leave that blue wire bundled up in the back of the car so that it's ready for them. It's right there whenever they need to run it to the front and connect it to that. The reverse light wire, though, we will connect in case their trailer has any features, like if they have a small boat trailer or something like that. That doesn't require a brake controller a lot of the times, but it will require the reverse lockout to be opened up so that they can back up with the trailer. Now to make all of our connections, we're going to use the quick connects that come with our kit. You just simply slide your 2 wires in and then crimp down the connector, and it'll splice into the wire, and we don't have to cut any of our factory wires. The brown wire is going to get attached to the gray and blue. You can see there. We have a little bit of fading on our wiring, so it's kind of hard to see the true color, but you can see the gray with a blue stripe. The green wire from our kit is going to get attached to the blue wire, and then the purple wire will get attached to the gray wire with a yellow stripe. This is all on our passenger side. Now we'll go over to the driver's side and show you the yellow wire. So on the driver's side, our yellow wire is going to get connected to the orange wire. Then you're going to have a black and white wire. That's going to be your power and ground. The white wire is going to be your ground. Use the ring terminal that's included in your kit and tie that to the ground that is right here on this stud. Now to wire up our 7-pole, even though we're not connecting up the blue to the vehicle, we're going to go ahead and connect it up to our 7-pole so that way it's done and they don't have to get back into it. But where we're going to attach our wires is starting from our key slot down here at the bottom. We're going to have our white wire, then our yellow wire, then our brown wire. The purple is going to go in the center. Then you'll have your black, then green, then your blue. So we're going to go ahead and get those all connected. I'll show you the first one. We're going to take a screwdriver and open this up. And you'll see that little set of jaws open. We're going to take our white wire, slide it in. Slide it in. If you bend it over, it'll help hold it for you. Then we'll tighten that screw down. Give it a tug to make sure it's holding on there. Now we'll go ahead and repeat that same process for the remaining colors. Now once you get your 7-pole all mounted up, you want to, with all your wires in there, you want to mount it to the bracket. This is how you want the bracket to be sitting on the side bracket. You'll use the included screws and bolts to be able to attach it here. You want to mount it so that it opens towards where the trunk area is, so it's easier to connect to. Now we'll want to take our black wire, which is going to be our power wire. I just ran it down through the same route that our main harness is coming down through, that same grommet. Just run it out there and then use the included heat shrink butt connector, connect it off to your big extended black wire. We're going to take this up to the vehicle's battery and get the power connected. Now the way we ran our power wire is we went down underneath the vehicle. We went through in behind this heat shield. We came out right above here. You want to stay away from anything hot or moving. So we just went over top of our frame struts, went over here, and then on the other side of this frame piece, we came down, and then we basically followed this belly pan. You loosen up some of these plastic screws or bolts up with a 10 millimeter. If you got to take any of the metal ones down, it's going to be an 8 millimeter. We just ran it all the way through this track till we got up here. We ran it outside, then we came back in, ran it up through here and up into our engine bay. Now we've got our wire up in our engine bay. We connected it to our fuse holder that comes in our kit. You want to pull that fuse out before we connect it up to our positive connection. We just tested all 3 of these with the vehicle off, and they all are working. We removed this center one, and Mercedes has these funky looking battery terminals. They have the nut kind of trapped onto the terminal itself. So we're just going to take that and put it back on to the stud and then tighten that nut down. Now we can take our fuse and put it in our fuse holder. Now we'll go through our basic functions and make sure our wiring is working properly. Start with our left turn, our right turn, our running lights, and our brake lights. Now that we know our wiring is working properly, we're going to put our fascia back onto our vehicle and get everything back in working order. Now when we installed our hitch, the bumper fascia only needed to be trimmed out so much, but now that we have our bracket for our wiring over here, we're going to have to trim out a little bit more. So we can feel up where our 7-pole is, and I'm going to start by cutting straight here and then straight over to this point that we had it earlier. Well guys, once we know everything's working properly, we've got our vehicle back together the way that we found it. That's going to do it for a look at and installation of the Stealth Hitches towing kit on our 2015 Mercedes-Benz GLK.